Hello, today I am going to do some watercolor, and I have not had a chance to get on and do anything here lately. Just life has been so crazy. So let me just back up. Welcome to my channel. This is Tammy Michelle, and today we're going to do some watercolor. So if you just like to do some relaxing watercolor in your sketchbook or on your watercolor paper, if you just want to follow along with me just to do a circle image exercise, I'm just going to use something round, and I have taken this just piece of cardboard circular. I don't even know what this was used for, but I kept it because I was like, I could probably use that. So today we're going to use it, and I'm just going to make some circles. So probably the easiest way is just to start by making a light. I probably want to do it a little bit lighter than that because we'll probably end up erasing these pencil marks, but make some circles on your paper just to start out. Fill in the spaces. And I'm just going to start making this first layer and do some circles, even have some that are overlapping. And we're going to fill them in with some watercolor, and we're going to let them run together and just do some wet on wet, some dry, different things. And I think that's a good amount. May even have, well, let's see. I kind of like it not running off the page at the moment. So let's stop there with the circles, and I'm just going to use my watercolor brush. A well-loved, as you can see, the wood's starting to like come off of this one. It's a 14 round, and we're going to use this. It's big for this exercise, but I want a lot of water. So I want something that's going to hold a lot of water and a lot of paint. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump in and do that first circle, and I'm just going to wet the circle with the water. And automatically, I just already start to feel relaxed. And I'm going to choose a color palette here because I don't want to use just a bunch of random colors. So I would like to use a lot of blues. So I've got my Kuretake paints here nearby, and I'm going to go into these blues, maybe even some of these lighter colors over here. And we're just going to play around with the blue hues, a very cool tone, maybe even adding in maybe some grays just to give it some contrast. But the reason why I'm focusing on blue is because this is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. Blue is the color of the ribbon for this type of cancer. If you've had anyone affected by colorectal cancer, you'll know that blue is the color. And just to raise awareness, I'd like to do this painting and just kind of talk to you about my story. So I am a colorectal cancer survivor. I was diagnosed back in 2015, and my story is that I didn't know that I needed to be tested. We went to several doctor's visits before even deciding to do a colonoscopy. Basically, I was being treated for everything under the sun, intestinal infection, things of that nature, just because we didn't know what was causing my pain. We didn't know what was causing my body to feel broken at the time, and it definitely felt broken. So that's just kind of how it started out. I was healthy. I was probably in the prime of my life, eating healthy, exercising, doing all the things, and just complete, utter disarray when we found out the news, because we were just surprised and overwhelmed. But one of the things that I want to say right off the bat is pain anywhere in your body is not normal. And if you're having pain, I would suggest, if you're not happy with the answers that you're getting from your doctor, please explore and be your own advocate for your health because it is so important. In my journey, we finally did have the colonoscopy. I woke up from that colonoscopy with my doctor on one side of me, my surgeon on the other, and they were telling me that you have cancer and we need to do surgery to remove it right away. And at that time, we didn't know the extent. We just knew that it was there. I had not been given the staging or anything of that nature at that point. But in the days ahead, a few days later, I would have surgery to remove part of my sigmoid colon. So I had a colon, what they call a colon resection, and they did part of my bowel. They removed part of my bowel where it had spread into my bowel, and then 23 lymph nodes from my abdomen on the outside of my colon, where 3 of those tested positive for the cancer. And so that was huge because once that happened, we knew that probably my next thing would be that I would need to take chemotherapy treatment because it had gotten into my lymph nodes, and just as precaution and treatment to further make sure that they got it all, because after the surgery they removed everything that they could from my body, but it was the invisible cancer we were fighting then at that point. So I healed from that. I did not have to have a colostomy bag like a lot of people after that type of surgery will have to wear one either temporarily, or in some cases they need to wear one for the rest of their lives. I was truly blessed that that wasn't the case for me. Matter of fact, my cousin actually made a t-shirt for me. Everyone was praying for me and my family that I wouldn't have to do that, and that was one of my biggest worries going into the surgery. And my cousin Michelle had made a shirt that read, I think it read, "No flaming ends," because the doctor said if we go in there and it's all flaming and just angry, we won't be able to reattach the colon, and she'll have to have a colostomy bag. And so that was the case, was that it was able to be reattached, and things were, I'm going to say normal, but, you know, not so normal. Normal as in it was good. I was able to function again. I was able to use the bathroom, and things were looking up. And then I started my chemotherapy journey for the next, let's see, that was in September, so October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So probably for like the next 6-7 months, I was receiving chemotherapy treatments. And what I did was I would go in and I would receive chemo through a pump. Well, actually, I guess they would put chemo into my body through a port that they had put in my chest. Port is something that goes straight into the artery of your heart, and then the chemo is pumped into your heart through the rest of your body. So that is how it's distributed to all the cells of your body until the cancer can be eradicated. And so they basically, without being too morbid, try to get you as close to death as they can, killing off all the cells, even all the good cells, and repopulating them with cells that without cancer. So as close to death as I can without killing you, to get those cells completely clean. And so I did that, and I would wear a pump home for 2 days and then go back each week to have it removed and to get an injection to help me fight off the symptoms that would come after that. And then once that was done, I would then, for days after, feel completely wiped out and drained. And that was my life for those months. Up until my last, the next to last treatment, actually. So I never got to ring the bell, which has always been one of my biggest regrets, is I never got to ring the bell, that says, hey, I'm here for my last treatment and celebrate, because it was on my next to last treatment that I had a horrible reaction from the chemotherapy that put me into the hospital. And they told me at that point that I would never be able to do chemotherapy again because I reacted so badly to it. I basically couldn't breathe. I had, it was the weirdest reaction, actually. I was laying there and it felt like I was having reactions like I was in labor, like my uterus was contracting. I don't know. It was the strangest thing. I've never had anyone really explain what was happening to me. So if you are a medical professional and you're listening to this and you might have answers to that question, like what was happening in my body at that time, please in the comments drop some explanation, because that was the weirdest thing. But I couldn't breathe. They were giving me medication to help me breathe, to help them basically subside. And then they rushed me to the hospital, where I stayed under observation for, I think, a few days. And then, of course, left and came home. But after that, and I know this is going very long, so I apologize for the length of this video. There's a lot of details, and I'm probably leaving out a lot, actually, of the details, but I'm just trying to kind of skim through without making this too terribly long. But yeah, we left the hospital, and then they had taken a PET scan to see where I was, to see if I needed to continue with radiation or any other types of treatment. And at that time, they had found that I had cancer all in my abdomen, all along my abdominal wall. They showed what they saw in there as cancer, and I had to have exploratory surgery. And at that moment, it was a week before that treatment that my pastors came, and they came to my house and they anointed me. And this is just something that we do. And it is biblical that you anoint someone with oil and you lay hands on them and you pray for them, and they pray for my healing. And I believe at that time that I was healed. So when the doctors told me that I needed to have this exploratory surgery, I was kind of in shock and disbelief, basically. And I said, okay, we can do the surgery. I will allow them to go into my abdomen and look, and we'll do the surgery. But I really don't believe it's necessary, but we'll go ahead. So I was it kind of went back to what the doctor was like in the beginning. When he told me that we would do this, but we're just going to do it for peace of mind, because he believed that there was nothing wrong. That's kind of where I was at that point. But they were doing the surgery, and as they were doing the surgery, they would pull out pieces, articles of things, I guess, that was cancer, and send it to pathology. And as pathology would test it, it would come back negative, and it would show up on the screen as cancer. And when pathology would test it, it was negative. And it was almost like in that moment, right in front of my surgeon's eyes, my body was eradicating the cancer. It was gone. It was basically, it was there and then it was gone. So long story short, I've been cancer free now for 9 years. I'm thankful for just the whole journey of going through that. I wish I wouldn't have had to go through it, but I am thankful for it, because it's made me stronger. It has made me more aware of my body, and I'm thankful to God, because I do believe that I was healed. And I don't know if you're listening what your faith or your belief is, and I'm not trying to sway anybody to believe a certain way by this video, but I will say that I do believe that that surgeon, myself, my mom, everybody who witnessed that, my kids, they were all affected by just the way that that happened and just how powerful it was. After my surgery, my surgeon brought me back in to talk to us, and my mom and I were both just floored when she told us the story of how she was literally inside my body pulling out cancer and sending it to pathology and finding that it wasn't cancer. So she was even just completely taken back by what was happening. And this is a surgeon who at that moment was just so in awe of what had happened and just really wanted to share what she had experienced. And just, we all just celebrated at that moment. But cancer is hard. That story doesn't tell all the details of the journey itself, what it did to my mind, my body, my soul, the struggle, how it affected relationships, how it affected just my life, and how it kind of got turned upside down. But what I will say is, when your life is turned upside down, the only thing that matters is what matters. And what mattered at that moment was being a light to people around me. Even, when I would go to my CT scans and things, just trying to be there for others, not really focusing on myself, and just making people aware, and also just loving the people around me. Because at the end of the day, and at the end of your life, when you're filled with uncertainty about tomorrow, and that should be every day for us, really, because life is uncertain and nothing is promised. Tomorrow is not promised for any of us. But when you do have that staring you in the face and the reality hits, the one thing that I kept saying is that I want to not let this define me. But if cancer does take my life, it won't be the cancer that takes my life. My life has to mean more than that. And we weren't defined by it. We would live our lives, and we would be strong, and we had to be ready for what happened either way, for if life happened afterward or if death came. And so yeah, that was just a hard reality to live in. And it was scary. It was scary at times, and it was dark at times, but we got through it. And when I say we, I'm talking about me and my husband and my kids. My husband at the time, me and my husband are no longer together. There was a long period of feeling disconnected, and things that happened throughout that time that I feel like really affected our relationship. And I can't say for sure what happened, but we aren't together anymore. But cancer just affects everything, and it really sucks. And I had a village of people who surrounded me and loved me and brought me meals and made me cards and prayed for me, and every day was sending me encouraging notes and letters. And my church family was just phenomenal. You just really can't say enough about those things, because I know that is what got me through. I even had a pastor help shave my head when my hair started falling out and I had patches of my hair coming out, and we decided just to shave my head, and I would just be bald for a while. And even though I probably wouldn't have lost all my hair, it was just, it was all part of it. And so every little thing that I remember from that time is, it was hard, but it was also a big eye-opening experience and just gave me a new lease on life. And I just love my life. And one of the reasons why I love to paint and one of the reasons why I like to share in my journey is because I do believe that art is part of healing. And I do love and enjoy to do art and to share on here about my life and my life journey. And colon cancer was definitely a big part of that. But they staged my cancer at, I think it was a 3 in 1, like right on the cusp of being like 3, 4. I'm not even for sure. I'll have to get my papers out and look at it. But my oncologist at my first appointment told me to go home and plan my funeral. Basically, you know, you need to be ready for what's coming, because there was a very thin percent of people who would live through what I was getting ready to go through. And so with that being said, I feel like there was a miracle that happened, and I am so grateful for it. And I just, I just wanted to share that. So, so look at the blue, and look, I accidentally got some purple in there. I'm going to go back into some deeper blues and start making some more circles over top of the circles that have dried. And just continue to know, if you're listening right now, maybe this isn't something that is in your family. I wasn't aware, but one of my uncles actually passed away from colon cancer, and I don't have like a hereditary gene or anything, but it can be. So if you have anything like that in your family and you feel like you need to be tested, I would definitely take that seriously. I think the age was 50. Now they've raised it to, you need to be tested at 45. And if you have a history, you need to be tested right away. It's just so much more prevalent now than it used to be in younger people. So yeah, I hope that this encourages you. I hope that you're inspired to go get some paint on some paper and make some beautiful things today. Thank you for joining. I don't want to make this too long, but I'm going to let this dry and come back and do some more later. You all have a beautiful Saturday.